There comes a time when silence speaks louder than confrontation. You don't need to prove how much they hurt you, how much pain you carried, or how deeply they betrayed your kindness. Because when you walk away and let God handle it, justice begins to move in ways no human could ever orchestrate. You see, people think they can wound others, walk away untouched, and never face the echoes of their actions. But the truth is, no one escapes what they've done. Every tear you shed becomes a testimony. Every sleepless night you endured becomes evidence. And every moment you stayed silent becomes a witness against them. When you cried alone, they thought it didn't matter. When they mocked your pain, they thought it was power. But God saw it all. He saw how they twisted your trust, how they played with your emotions, how they tore you down to feel taller. He saw when you prayed for them even as they hurt you, when you still hoped they'd change, when you believed there was still good in them. God doesn't ignore those moments. He keeps the record. And when his timing arrives, it's not revenge, it's correction. They'll face the reflection of every tear they caused. Life will mirror back the pain they gave. Not because you wished it, but because truth cannot stay buried. You see, suffering has a strange way of circling back. When someone destroys another person's peace, it creates a spiritual debt. And that debt always gets collected. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. But one day they'll wake up with the same emptiness they left in you. They'll crave forgiveness they never gave. They'll beg for understanding they once mocked. That's how justice works. It finds its way home. You were never weak for feeling deeply. You were human. You cared. You gave pieces of yourself, believing love could heal what was broken in them. But they took your empathy as a weakness, your silence as permission, your forgiveness as foolishness. They thought they could keep taking without ever being held accountable. But God is not blind. The same God who comforted you in your pain will confront them in their pride. And that confrontation won't come gently. It will come through loss, through emptiness, through realization, through the unbearable truth that they destroyed something good and can never get it back. And when that day comes, you won't need to lift a finger. You won't need to say a word. Because God's justice doesn't ask for your participation. It asks for your trust. He's already working in the unseen, aligning circumstances, shifting paths, and awakening their conscience in ways they can't escape. Their peace will vanish in the same way they robbed yours. Their nights will be haunted by memories they tried to bury. Their hearts will finally feel what yours endured. But here's the thing. You must not let bitterness claim you. Let the pain mature you, not poison you. Because if you let hatred grow, you become tied to their destruction. Instead, stand still. Let your peace be the proof that you survived what was meant to break you. Let your silence be your strength. You've already won by refusing to become like them. And the day will come when they'll see that the one they tried to break only became stronger, while they were left to wrestle with the ruins of their own choices. God's justice doesn't rush. It arrives exactly when it needs to. It exposes falsehoods, humbles the arrogant, and restores dignity to the ones who were wronged. And when that moment unfolds, it won't just punish them, it will teach them. They'll come to understand the weight of every tear, every wound, every moment they dismissed as nothing. Because those moments were sacred. They were seen by God. And He never forgets what was done to a sincere heart. So stop asking when they'll pay. Stop wondering how. Trust that they already are. Every time they pretend to be fine while feeling that gnawing guilt, every time they replay the past and can't find peace, that's the beginning of their reckoning. The emptiness they feel isn't random. It's the echo of what they did to you. They created their own suffering when they chose cruelty over kindness. And now they must live with the truth that the person who would have stood by them through everything is gone forever. You, on the other hand, will rise because pain, when handed to God, becomes power. Your tears were never wasted. They watered your growth. Your heartbreak didn't destroy you. It refined you. You now see through deception. You now know who deserves your energy. You learn to protect your peace, not chase explanations. And that's the gift hidden in your suffering, clarity. So let them face what they've done. You don't need to watch it unfold. You don't need to hear their apologies or witness their downfall. Just know that justice will always come full circle. They'll face every tear they caused, every sleepless night, every broken piece of your heart, because that's how truth restores balance. You can't harm someone deeply and escape unchanged. God will make them face it, not out of cruelty but out of mercy, because only through pain will they finally understand the pain they caused. And when they do, they'll remember you. They'll remember how genuine you were, how patient, how loyal, how undeserving of what they did. And that realization will follow them for the rest of their lives. You, however, will walk forward lighter, wiser, freer, not because they got what they deserved, but because you finally learned to let go and trust that God saw it all. And that's enough. When people betray you, lie to you, or play with your emotions, it often feels like no one sees it. You start to question whether justice even exists. You wonder if the truth will ever come to light, or if those who caused your pain will keep living freely while you're left to pick up the pieces. But what you need to understand is that nothing escapes God's sight. Every word they spoke to deceive you, every plan they made behind your back, every moment they mocked your pain, He saw it all. God was there when you were breaking down in silence, when you couldn't explain the depth of your hurt to anyone. When you cried until there were no tears left, you might have felt invisible, but you weren't. He was watching, and He took note of every injustice done to you. People often mistake silence for weakness. They think that because there's no immediate consequence, there won't be any at all. They confuse patience with blindness. But God's timing isn't human timing. He doesn't rush to expose people. He lets them reveal themselves. That's how He operates. While you were crying, He was watching them dig their own pit. Every lie they told built the walls around their downfall. Every act of cruelty became another brick in their own destruction. You didn't need to fight back because your pain already began the process of divine retribution. You see, when you have a good heart, your pain doesn't go to waste. It becomes evidence. When they took advantage of your kindness, they thought they were getting away with it. But in reality, they were building a case against themselves. God saw when you kept giving chances, when you forgave, when you stayed loyal despite being betrayed. He saw how hard you tried to keep peace with people who thrived on chaos. And that's why you don't have to justify yourself or explain your pain because you were never unseen. God was watching the entire story unfold from start to finish. There's something powerful about knowing that divine justice doesn't require your participation. You don't have to wish bad upon anyone. You don't have to chase closure. You don't have to prove how deeply they wronged you. Because while you were staying silent, God was taking notes. When they thought they had destroyed your spirit, He was preserving your strength. When they tried to break you, He was preparing your healing. Every moment they spent trying to hurt you was a moment they unknowingly invited His judgment into their lives. And here's the truth. They may pretend they've moved on. They may even look like they're winning. But you can't hide from what you sow. You can't bury the truth forever. The eyes of God are sharper than any secret. People can deceive others, but they cannot deceive the one who sees into hearts. They may hide behind charm, behind social masks, behind stories that paint them as victims. But God knows the truth beneath it all. He knows their motives, their intentions, their hidden arrogance. And sooner or later, everything that was done in the dark will come to light. So don't lose faith when it feels like they've escaped consequences. Sometimes God allows the wicked to walk freely for a while so that when the fall comes, it's undeniable. When the truth finally surfaces, no one will be able to say it was luck or coincidence. Everyone will see it was divine order, justice arriving exactly when it was meant to. God doesn't forget. He waits for the right moment to show the world that He was watching all along. And in that time of waiting, something else happens. He starts healing you while He prepares their lesson. He's preparing your restoration. You begin to see things differently. You realize that their betrayal revealed your strength, that their lies sharpened your discernment, that their rejection protected your destiny. God uses the pain they caused to elevate you. He turns every wound into wisdom, every heartbreak into a lesson, every loss into preparation. So, while they were busy trying to destroy you, they didn't realize they were actually building your next chapter. And when God finally decides it's time for them to face what they've done, you'll already be standing stronger. They'll be falling apart while you're rising. That's how divine justice works. It restores balance without your effort. The same eyes that saw you weeping will now see you walking in peace. The same God who witnessed your pain will now make sure they witness your growth. You don't need revenge. You don't need to wish them harm. The most powerful thing you can do is trust that God saw everything and that He's not done yet. Let Him handle it. Let Him expose what needs to be exposed when it's time. Let Him bring them face to face with their own actions, because He will. He always does. They thought your silence was weakness, but it was power. It was patience. It was faith in something greater than immediate satisfaction. And that faith is what protects you now. God's justice doesn't come with noise. It comes with truth, quietly but unmistakably. One day they'll look back and realize the person they hurt was covered by something much greater than their cruelty. They'll understand too late that when they played with your soul, they were really challenging God Himself. And no one wins against God. Every tear you cried had meaning. You might have felt like you were breaking, like life was unfair, like your pain was invisible. But every tear carried a message that reached heaven long before you ever spoke a word. Pain has a language, and God understands it better than anyone. When you cried in silence, He heard the depth of your soul saying, "I can't take this anymore." When you sat in darkness, feeling forgotten, He was right there beside you, collecting every tear, recording every ache, and preparing to turn that pain into something purposeful. You see, tears aren't signs of weakness. They're evidence of how much you loved, how much you cared, and how deeply you gave yourself. The world mocks tears, but God honors them. He knows that only a heart that has truly cared can hurt that deeply. The pain you went through didn't break you. It revealed how strong you really are. Because even after everything, you're still standing, still breathing, still fighting to find meaning in what shattered you. That strength didn't come from luck. It came from every tear that watered your growth in silence. When someone hurts you deeply, it's not just the betrayal that wounds you. It's the feeling that your love, your effort, and your loyalty were wasted. You start to wonder if all that energy was for nothing, but it wasn't. Every tear you shed became part of your transformation. It softened your spirit in ways nothing else could. It taught you empathy. It made you see the world differently. And most importantly, it connected you with God on a level that comfort doesn't reach. People learn through pain what peace could never teach. Sometimes God allows us to be broken so that something new can grow in us. He uses tears to wash away illusions, to show us who people truly are, to reveal what doesn't belong in our lives anymore, and to draw us closer to Him. The moments that felt like endings were actually preparations. Every tear was cleansing you of people, habits, and beliefs that no longer served your purpose. Pain is often the process through which God rebuilds us stronger and wiser. Think about it. How many times did you cry over people who are no longer meant to be part of your story? How many times did you question your worth because of someone else's inability to see it? Those tears weren't wasted. They helped you understand that you can't save someone who doesn't want to change, that your compassion isn't a curse, and that not everyone who says they love you actually does. Your tears brought truth even when truth was painful to face. And here's what's powerful. Your tears didn't just purify your soul, they built your testimony. The very things that broke you are shaping your story into something others will one day look to for strength. The pain that once felt unbearable will become the same force that helps someone else heal. You might not see it now, but your tears are part of something bigger, a plan that will make sense later. God never wastes pain. He transforms it. There will come a day when you'll look back at this chapter and realize that every tear pushed you closer to clarity. The things you thought you lost were making room for things you truly deserved. The people who walked away were clearing the space for those who would never leave. The heart that shattered was being remade with deeper wisdom, sharper vision, and greater compassion. What hurt you wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to refine you. When you were crying, you were releasing what couldn't stay. Every tear washed away an illusion of who they were, of what you expected, of what you thought love or loyalty should look like. That's painful, but it's freeing because once you've cried your last tear over something that wasn't real, you stop chasing what doesn't value you. You learn that peace is worth more than validation, and self-respect is worth more than being understood. God saw how hard you tried to hold it all together. He saw you praying for strength, trying to make sense of betrayal, trying to keep your faith alive when everything felt hopeless. He knows the weight of your pain because He was with you in it, and that's why your tears weren't wasted. They were being turned into purpose drop by drop. Each one carried a part of your healing, a piece of your future, a lesson you didn't know you needed. So don't be ashamed of how deeply you felt or how much you cried. People who haven't loved deeply will never understand the pain of losing something sacred. But God does, and He promises that what you lost in tears, you'll gain back in peace. The same heart that was once shattered will soon beat stronger and clearer because now it knows what it deserves. The same soul that was once broken will glow differently because now it understands that pain is not punishment. It's preparation. You may not see the full picture yet, but one day you'll thank God for the tears that once burned your eyes. You'll realize that those tears didn't weaken you. They purified you. They removed your illusions, deepened your wisdom, and built a connection between you and God that no comfort ever could. The pain that brought you to your knees was the same pain that helped you rise. So hold your head high. The world might not understand what those tears cost you, but heaven does, and God will make sure they weren't in vain. Every tear was counted, every cry was heard, and every sleepless night was written into your story for a reason. The pain you endured will become the proof of your strength and the evidence of God's justice when those who hurt you finally face the weight of what they did. Because when God restores, He doesn't just heal. You come back wiser, stronger, and far more powerful than before. Divine justice isn't something you can rush. It doesn't move at the speed of your anger or impatience. It moves at the pace of truth. God's justice has its own rhythm, one that may seem slow at first, but it never fails to arrive. When people wrong you, your first instinct is often to prove the truth, to make others see what they did, to expose the lies, to make them feel what they made you feel. But that's not your battle to fight. Some fights belong only to God, because when He brings justice, it's complete. It doesn't just punish, it reveals, humbles, and restores. You might think they've escaped. They may seem untouchable, living comfortably while you're left in pieces. But don't mistake their comfort for peace. There's a difference between appearing fine and being at peace. They can post smiles, show confidence, and act as though nothing happened. But deep inside, their soul knows. Guilt has a way of whispering in the quiet hours. Their conscience remembers the tears they caused, the trust they broke, and the love they betrayed. That's where divine justice begins, not always with lightning, but with inner torment. The thing about God's justice is that it's not just about balancing the scales. It's about transformation. He doesn't simply return pain for pain. He allows people to experience what they caused, not to destroy them, but to awaken them. Every lie they told will circle back to them. Every manipulation will find its way home. Every wound they gave will reappear in their own life in a way that forces them to confront who they've become. You can't harm someone's spirit without eventually feeling that weight on your own. It's hard to stay patient while waiting for that balance, especially when you see them living as if they've won. But that's where faith is tested. Faith is trusting that God saw what you didn't have the power to expose. Faith is believing that even if the world doesn't hold them accountable, heaven will. And when God steps in, He doesn't need your help. His justice is quiet but undeniable. It can come through loss, through emptiness, through a realization that shakes them to their core. And when it happens, it leaves no doubt that it came from Him. Sometimes God delays justice because He's doing something in you too. While He's preparing their lesson, He's also preparing your rise. He's using that delay to build your strength, your clarity, your self-control. The longer you wait without bitterness, the greater your reward will be because you didn't try to take matters into your own hands. You trusted Him. You let Him write the story, and He always finishes what He starts. Think of how many times in life truth takes time to surface. Lies spread fast, but truth has roots. It grows quietly underground, and when it finally breaks the surface, it can't be hidden again. The same people who doubted you will one day see clearly. The same voices that mocked your pain will fall silent when the truth unfolds. That's how divine justice operates. It turns tables when no one expects it. It exposes people in their own words, in their own actions, in ways that can't be denied. You might not see the full circle, and that's okay. Sometimes justice happens out of your view. You don't always get to watch them fall apart or see them face their guilt, but you can rest knowing that they will. Because God doesn't allow people to harm others without consequence. He might let them rise for a while, but He'll never let them rest. Their peace will be gone until they make things right. And even then, the scars of their actions will stay with them. And what about you? Your role is not to chase their downfall. Your role is to grow while you wait, to let God's justice unfold while you build your peace. Because justice isn't about watching them suffer. It's about watching yourself heal. It's about walking into a life so full and peaceful that their actions no longer have power over you. That's how you win. Not by revenge, but by release. Every time you resist the urge to fight back, you're saying to God, I trust you. Every time you choose peace over pettiness, you're showing strength. And that strength becomes your armor. When God sees that you've chosen to let go, He steps in. He begins to work in ways you couldn't imagine. Doors open for you that no one can shut. Opportunities appear that they can't block. Blessings flow that expose how protected you truly were. That's divine justice too. Not just their punishment, but your elevation. Eventually, the people who hurt you will see your growth and understand what they lost. They'll realize that while they were busy playing games, you were being prepared. And when they finally face the weight of what they've done, it won't come through your anger. It'll come through their regret. They'll see you healed, happy, and distant, and that will break them more than any revenge ever could. That's how God works. He lets your healing become their lesson. So don't rush it. Don't look for signs or proof. Just know that everything done against you is already accounted for. Nothing slips through divine hands. Justice may be delayed, but it's never denied. And when it arrives, it won't just balance what was broken. It will bless what remains. The same God who saw your tears will make sure those tears are not forgotten. The same God who saw your pain will use that pain to create purpose. One day you'll see it all come together. You'll understand why he asked you to stay silent, why he told you to let go, why he didn't allow you to fight back. It's because he was handling it all. Divine justice is never rushed, but it's always right. And when it comes, you'll realize it was worth every second of waiting. When someone takes your peace away, they don't realize what they've done. They think it's just a moment, a reaction, a manipulation, a betrayal that will soon fade. But what they've actually done is disturb something sacred. Your peace is not just calmness. It's your connection to yourself, your faith, and your purpose. When they tore through that, they awakened a debt that life itself will demand they repay. And that repayment will come when their peace begins to disappear, just as yours once did. You see, peace isn't something you can fake. You can smile, you can post pictures, you can tell the world you're happy, but your soul always knows the truth. When they caused you pain, when they broke your trust, when they made you question your worth, they planted a seed of chaos that would one day grow in their own life. What they did to you becomes the mirror they'll be forced to face. You cried in silence once, they will too. You stayed awake replaying what happened. They will too. The same emptiness that hollowed your heart will one day visit theirs. Not because you wished it, but because that's how the universe restores balance. There's something deeply spiritual about the way life returns lessons. The pain they caused you becomes the same pain that wakes them at night. The betrayal they thought you'd forget becomes the guilt that won't let them rest. The laughter they had at your expense turns into silence they can't escape. God doesn't allow people to destroy others without consequence. It may take months or years, but eventually their peace will slip away. It might look like sudden anxiety, an unexplainable emptiness, or the collapse of something they thought would never fall apart. And in that moment, they'll remember you. They'll remember the one they hurt and realize that the peace they stole was the peace they needed most. When your peace was broken, you probably begged for understanding. You wanted to know why they did it, how they could hurt someone who only wanted good for them. You cried, you questioned, you doubted yourself. But what you didn't know then was that your suffering was temporary. Their turn would come. God's justice doesn't come to destroy. It comes to teach, and he allows people to feel the full weight of what they made others carry. The difference is when it comes back to them, there's no one like you to comfort them, no one to stand by them the way you did. They'll face the storm alone because that's how truth humbles pride. Their peace will start to vanish slowly. It won't happen in dramatic ways at first. It'll begin with small cracks, things not working out, people walking away, relationships losing warmth, nights feeling longer than they should. They'll start to feel restless, unsettled, and confused just like you once did. They'll try to fill the void with distractions, work, noise, attention. But nothing will quiet the guilt that sits in the back of their mind, because deep down they'll know why their peace is gone. They'll know what they did, and that knowing will follow them everywhere. That's how karma operates. It doesn't always strike in one blow. It drains, it whispers, it reminds, it slowly takes away everything false until all that's left is truth. And the truth is that they caused pain to someone who didn't deserve it. That realization is a punishment in itself. Guilt is a quiet kind of torment. It eats away at your peace from the inside, and no one can escape it. They can hide from others, but not from themselves. What's beautiful, though, is that while they're losing their peace, you're regaining yours. While they're being haunted by their conscience, you're being healed by your faith. The more you focus on rebuilding yourself, the more they're forced to face what they destroyed. That's divine justice at work. You're no longer crying while they laugh. You're no longer sleepless while they rest. The roles reverse, not because of revenge, but because of balance. And when you finally reach peace again, it won't be the same peace you lost. It will be deeper, stronger, unshakable. Because now you know its value. You'll guard it with boundaries. You'll protect it with wisdom. You'll recognize the signs of manipulation before they take root. What once broke you will never touch you again. That's the power of pain when you survive it. It becomes protection. Meanwhile, they'll learn what you already know. That peace is fragile and you can't destroy someone else's without losing your own. They'll realize too late that they traded something priceless, your trust, your loyalty, your light for momentary satisfaction. And that realization will hurt more than anything they did to you, because it's one thing to lose someone. It's another to realize you were the one who caused the loss, so don't wish them pain. You don't have to. Life will handle it. God's justice doesn't need your anger to move. It needs your trust. You just focus on healing, on living well, on protecting your peace. Because every smile you regain is a silent reminder of what they lost. Every time you choose peace over bitterness, you rise above what tried to break you. That's your victory. And when they finally sit in the quiet, facing the emptiness they created, they'll remember the one person who once brought them calm. They'll remember your kindness, your patience, your faith, and they'll know that what they destroyed can't be rebuilt. That's how peace teaches its lesson. It disappears from those who take it for granted and blooms again in those who learned its worth through pain. So keep your peace sacred. Don't chase revenge. Don't wait to see their downfall. You don't need proof that justice is real. Just know that everything you felt, they will feel too. The only difference is you'll come out purified while they'll come out haunted. Because when someone takes your peace, they also take their own. And once it's gone, nothing in this world can bring it back until they face the truth of what they did. When God begins to make someone face the pain they caused, it often starts quietly. It doesn't happen through thunder or fire, but through reflection. A whisper in the soul that begins to ask, "What have I done?" That's the voice they cannot silence. The people who once hurt you may live as if they've moved on, as if your tears meant nothing. But time has a way of forcing truth back into their sight. They begin to see themselves in the mirror of consequence. Every lie they told, every manipulation, every act of cruelty starts circling back in forms they didn't expect. And it's not always punishment from the outside. Sometimes the worst punishment comes from within. The realization that they became the very kind of person they once despised. There's something profoundly spiritual about the justice of time. It doesn't always strike when we want it to, but it never forgets. God lets them run for a while, believing they escaped. He lets them laugh for a moment, thinking they won, but that's only because he wants them to see how empty that victory truly was. When their laughter fades and silence fills their nights, that's when the haunting begins. They remember your face. They remember your kindness. They remember how pure your intentions were and how easily they destroyed it. You can't outrun that kind of memory. It doesn't fade. It grows heavier with each passing year. It's a strange form of divine symmetry. They once made you feel small, powerless, and broken. Now they face the same emotions but multiplied, magnified, and mirrored back through their own choices. The things they did to you will start happening to them in different shapes. The betrayal they dealt will come knocking at their own door. The trust they shattered will be stolen from them. The love they threw away will vanish when they crave it most. It's not coincidence. It's the law of moral return. Life doesn't allow cruelty to circulate endlessly without consequence. What they gave out returns in the same currency. Pain for pain, emptiness for emptiness. But here's the deeper truth. Their punishment isn't meant for your satisfaction. It's meant for their awakening. Because when God lets a person face every tear they caused, he's not simply balancing the scales. He's revealing to them the weight of a soul. He's showing them that what they destroyed wasn't just another person's piece, but a piece of divine order itself. You were not just someone in their life. You were a test of their integrity, a reflection of their moral worth. And they failed that test. Now they live in the ruins of their choices, often pretending to be fine, but deep down, something in them is breaking slowly, silently, just as they broke you once. That's how justice often looks in God's world. It's not loud, it's not theatrical. It unfolds in the mind, in the loneliness of regret, in the sleeplessness of conscience. They replay the moments they mocked you, dismissed you, or betrayed your love. And each time it cuts deeper. You might never see their tears, but trust me, they will cry them. You might never hear their apologies, but their soul will whisper them into the void when no one is watching. And those tears, the ones you once cried in silence, will find their way back to them, transformed into lessons, into pain, into truth they can no longer escape. And that's where God's wisdom lies. He doesn't just avenge, he teaches. He makes them walk through the same valley they once pushed you into. He makes them taste the same bitterness they served you with, but not out of cruelty, out of correction. Because no one truly understands the value of compassion until they've lived through the consequences of cruelty. No one appreciates loyalty until they've felt the sting of abandonment. No one understands love until they've lost it through their own neglect. So when you think about the people who hurt you, don't imagine their downfall in flames or chaos. Imagine their awakening. The slow, painful, and filled with realization. Imagine them sitting in silence trying to figure out why nothing feels right anymore. Why peace won't come. Why happiness feels hollow. That's when they start facing the tears they caused, not as punishment, but as revelation. God is showing them what they destroyed. And in doing so, He's showing you that your pain was never wasted. Every tear you cried was seen. Every sleepless night was recorded. Every injustice was marked for divine correction. And when that moment comes, when they finally face what they've done, you won't need revenge. You'll already have peace. Because by the time their lesson arrives, you'll be far beyond their reach, living in the strength that your suffering built. You'll have turned your pain into wisdom, your heartbreak into clarity, and your wounds into power. And they'll stand there realizing that while you grew from what they did, they are now crushed by the very weight they once placed on you. That's divine balance. That's justice. That's what happens when God makes them face every tear they caused.